In their last jump, the time travelers didn't quite make it home and made a pit stop in 1923. Will their next jump take them closer to home or further from? I suppose for those of us without our own time machine, we shall simply have to watch and find out.
I've been to a lot of roller coasters, but that one takes the cake.
Max, I'm a little worried about the time machine. The last two jumps, it felt like they were getting faster and dizzier.
I'm worried too, Sparks. I don't have the slightest idea why the time machine is behaving this way. It's not supposed to make jumps by itself. It's almost like it has a mind of its own.
Where are we?
You mean, when are we?
Given that we can appear anywhere in space and time, I think both questions are appropriate.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, my two young time travelers. Time machines don't have exact readouts of when you are, like in the movies. And I'm sure we don't have an internet signal to check out where we are on Google Maps.
Well, from the looks of it, we're not closer to home. I was hopeful the time machine just sort of ran out of gas, dropping us in 1923.
Looks kind of like the illustrations from old Bible stories to me. Unless we're in a museum or something, I think we've jumped again into the past.
I, for one, would like to stop guessing and get to some answers. I have a theory, but it sounds kind of crazy in my mind.
Probably not the only thing crazy in there.
I need to run some calculations to be sure. If you'll excuse me again.
Looks to be pretty late at night. We might have a quiet layover while Max checks the machine.
I wouldn't be so sure. Hey, I wonder what's wrong with him. Hey, dude, what's the matter?
I don't think he can hear you. It looks like he's just outside of our time bubble.
Shh, what's he saying?
Have mercy on me, O God, according to your great love,
Mercy? Has he done something wrong?
according to your great compassion. Blot out my transgressions. Wash away all my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin.
Wait, I think I've heard this before.
For I know my transgressions, and my sin is always before me. Against you, and you only have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight. So you are right in your judgment and justified when you judge.
This is Psalm 51. This is a famous poem that David wrote. We just studied this at church. David spoke these words right after the prophet Nathan confronted him for stealing his friend's wife and then sending his friend to his death on the battlefield to hide his sin.
More of the curse of sin in action. We just came from visiting the most famous woman in 1923, named Eve of all things. And now we come across arguably the most famous king in all of history, and they're both a mess.
Surely I was sinful from birth, sinful from the time my mother conceived me.
My pastor taught us about this. Because Adam and Eve fell into sin, each and every one of us inherits that curse just by being born.
Yet you desired faithfulness, even in the womb. You taught me wisdom in that secret place.
What does that mean?
Don't you see? David doesn't have all the answers. What he knows is that the law, which God gave us through Moses, tells him that stealing a man's wife is worthy of death. just like sending that same man to purposely die in battle.
So there's no hope for him?
Listen to the next part.
Cleanse me with hyssop, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow.
He's referring to sacrifices and ritual cleansing, also from Moses' law.
Is that enough to save him?
No.
Let me hear joy and gladness. Let the bones you have crushed rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and cover all my iniquity.
Well, he sounds pretty hopeful.
And that's what he has. Hope and faith. God's answer to sin, sending his son Jesus to die on the cross for us, won't happen for another 1,000 years from his perspective. He can't see it clearly, but he knows God has a rescue plan, and he's confident in that plan.
Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me.
This is salvation. He said it himself. He is trusting in something that he can't see.
You want to know the coolest part?
What's that?
God sends David the salvation he's looking for through one of his sons. Or should I say, one of his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandsons.
That's beautiful.
I can't believe what we just saw with our own two eyes. If we weren't in a crisis of being lost in space and time, I would actually think that this thing is a blessing to us, opening our eyes to all that God has done for us.
Extraordinary! Absolutely extraordinary!
What did you find out, Max?
It's easier to show you if you see on the display. The whole time, I thought we were traveling in a straight line. In time, that is.
Yeah?
Here is where we started in my lab, and here is where we ended at the beginning of time and creation.
Yeah?
And here is us traveling home and stopping in 1923.
Yeah?
I had it all wrong! We haven't made it to our destination yet!
What?
Do you remember what I said about time being like gravity?
I guess so.
Oh, what does gravity look like in terms of our solar system?
Well, the planets all revolve around the sun.
Because
the sun is the biggest object in our solar system, and it pulls all the other planets toward it. That pull is constant, which is why they orbit around that central point.
Outstanding! You may have a future in science, my lad.
Max, what does that have to do with a time machine?
We haven't been traveling in a straight line. We have been orbiting our original destination. The beginning of time was simply our first stop in that journey.
Come again?
Let me show you. We were looking at time sideways. This is what's actually happening.
I don't understand.
The time machine locked onto the lightest moment in history, but it's also acting like it's being drawn, like the planets, toward the heaviest moment in history. I can't explain it, but the machine seems to think both happened at the same time.
So you're saying that we're spiraling through time toward that central point?
Exactly! I don't have enough data to pinpoint our destination precisely, but our time jumps between the past and the future are drawing us closer and closer to that point in history.
But, Max, why has each jump felt wilder and wilder?
Have you ever taken a bath?
Yeah, of course. Why would you ask?
What happens to a soap bubble when you pull the plug?
Well, it's drawn towards the drain, At first slowly, but then faster and faster and faster until it goes down.
Exactly. And that's what's happening to us. Each new jump until we get to our destination will be tighter and tighter, like going down a drain.
Great. By the time we get to where the time machine is taking us, we'll all be spinning in circles or passed out.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, but Max, why didn't the time machine just take us all the way to our final destination without all these hops?
Does it not have enough power to get us there all at once?
No, that's the strange thing. We've already jumped further than where we're going. I can't explain what is happening.
Kind of feels like the time machine has a mind of its own.
Or maybe something or someone is guiding us.
Hang on, everyone. It's time for the next roller coaster ride.
I wonder where we're heading now.
I don't have precise calculations yet, but I estimate we'll land somewhere in the 1st century.
Sounds educational.
Hang on!
Extraordinary! Did you see it? A glimmer of hope in King David. Finally, someone who recognizes the gravity of their own sin and places his hope in the salvation that God would offer through his Son, Jesus Christ. And speaking of salvation, we must tune in tomorrow to see if our time travelers find themselves closer or farther away from home.